Roller coasters have been a concept for over 130 years. The first one in America being Switchback Railway, designed by LaMarcus Edna Thompson, opening in 1884 at Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. Since then, we have evolved immensely, breaking records they could only dream of. So here's my picks for the most influential roller coaster manufacturers. But before we get to the actual list, the honorable mention has to go to Schwarzkopf. Schwarzkopf has the title for first 360-degree loop on any roller coaster with Great American Scream Machine, opening in 1976. And a loop is something that we see on thousands of roller coasters today, so it's cool to see this element has such longevity. But if you're wondering why Schwarzkopf did not make the list, I feel like they're missing one standout model. But that doesn't mean what they did have isn't influential. But starting off the list, we have Vekoma. Some may view this as low, but honestly, Vekoma is just now getting good. And even now, when I think of Vekoma and their models, I just see elements of someone else's ride, but obviously in a good way. But a positive impact they did have on the roller coaster market is their Flying Dutchman model. Stealth opened as the world's first extreme flying coaster at California's Great America in 2000, which you can still ride at Carowinds as Nighthawk. But ever since the Flying Dutchman had its debut, it's been a well-known fact that this is what inspired the B&M Flyers. Except they took it and made it so much better, mainly because the loading process. B&M Flyers load in a standing position and flips you on your stomach on an inverted track, versus the Flying Dutchman model who load in sort of a seated position and flips you back on flat track. But the whole point is Vekoma inspired them. My next pick has to be Intamin. Honestly, Intamin deserves this spot because they pushed the limits more than anybody on this entire list. I mean, they broke the 300, 400, and possibly the 500 foot mark, but we'll talk about that in Thursday's upload. And they sort of paved the way for inversions by breaking the 10 inversion mark in 2002. But by far the most influential thing they have done is create the hydraulic launch. Accelerator opened June 22nd, 2002 as the world's first hydraulic launch coaster. And a little fun fact, if we didn't have Accelerator, we wouldn't have Top Thrill Dragster. When Top Thrill Dragster was in its planning stage, they actually used Accelerator to see if it can get up to the 120 mph speed. So they tested it at about 117 miles per hour. But you may not even understand how innovative that launch really was, because in 2023, nothing has even been able to come close to the sheer power of the hydraulic launch. Actually, that's a lie because the compressed air launch has surpassed it. But just like the hydraulic launch, the compressed air launch is not reliable, hence why Intamin has discontinued the hydraulic launch and uses LSMs now. But Intamin is great, and I hope American parks start buying them more often. But moving on to the top 3, we have RMC. If you've been tuning into my previous videos, you know I'm a huge fan of RMC. For great reason though: snappy transitions, great inversions, strong airtime, and even has influenced some of the greats like Intamin and Vekoma to create similar elements. In 2011, RMC made history by opening up the first iBox conversion. And at the time, this was the biggest game changer we've seen in years. The new Texas Giant alone shot RMC up everybody's roller coaster manufacturer rankings. RMC conversions give parks a cheaper alternative than tearing down their roller coaster and replacing it with something new. And if you're wondering how they achieve this, well, they take the old wooden track, rip it up, and then they put steel iBox track on it, usually extending the layout, making it taller, and adding on to the already existing supports. Hopefully they continue to innovate because it truly improves the market and adds a sense of competition. And recently I've been seeing people saying that RMCs are getting stale and repetitive. But honestly, I think they have some of the most creative layouts. Like, we didn't see wave turns, stalls, outer bank turns until they came around. But yeah, RMC is great, and I hope more Cedar Fair parks start buying from them. Moving on to B&M. B&M has accomplished many things, and many of their accomplishments may be in your top 20, and they may have a lot of things under their belt, but the most influential thing they created is definitely the invert. And I say this because majority of manufacturers now offer an inverted roller coaster. But in the early 90s, B&M had the smart idea to flip a roller coaster track upside down. They delivered this concept within 2,700 feet of relentless track. Batman the Ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain opened in 1994 is still currently open. I mean, these were that good that Six Flags bought 9 more of them and spread them all across their parks. But I mean, that was old B&M. I noticed that they're a lot more tame nowadays, hence why it seems like B&M is losing popularity with the enthusiasts. Nobody can deny how innovative they once were. But if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button, as it helps me against the YouTube algorithm. So my number 1 pick for the most influential roller coaster manufacturer is literally Aerodynamics. Hopefully this isn't much of a surprise, but if it is, then you really don't know how much of a legend they were. Aero, which is now unfortunately defunct, is the most influential roller coaster manufacturer. They were the first to create tubular steel track in 1959 with Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland in Anaheim, California. This is an incredible achievement considering this is used on nearly every roller coaster. There's been new developments of roller coaster track obviously, but this is probably the most used. But it doesn't stop there. They also had the first roller coaster to go upside down in 1975, which was Corkscrew at Knott's Berry Farm, which it just barely beats out Revolution, opening at Six Flags Magic Mountain in 1976. They're also well known and well respected for the coaster that put them in the ground. This was the world's first 4D roller coaster and it was truly ahead of its time. But man, I wish they were still around to innovate. But before we wrap up, make sure you follow my socials linked down below. And you should like, comment, and subscribe for videos just like this. I'm Kai from Main Coasters and I'll see you all next time.